Hello everyone, welcome back. In this part, we're going to talk about destructing assignment syntax. You know that we can create objects simply with our object's name, and then we have these curly braces, and then our items inside of it. Let's say here we have first name right here, which is Tim, and then our last name, which is Smith, for example. But the thing that we have in JavaScript, we can destruct these items and unpack our object properties into variables. What I mean is that first we're going to create some kind of variable and we put these values inside of it, which variable with the name of fname saves Tim and variable with the name of lname saves Smith. And for destructuring our items, here we use these curly braces just like we start our object. Then here we put the item that we want. For example, here we put our fname right here, and then we equal that with the object that we want to destructure, which here it is person. And we can use our variable creation keywords and statements right here like const, let, and wrap, which I'm going to use let right here. And then if we just console log our fname right here and run our code, you can see that we got this Tim and we have created this fname variable just right here by this syntax. And if we want to have this one too, of course we can have multiple line of this, which here we're going to have lname instead of our fname, and here let's actually print that one too. Now if we run, you can see that we got the same thing, but another way of doing this thing, which is some kind of shorthand of this, is that we use our fname right here, then we separate this with this comma, and then here we use our next item that we want. And now if we run, you can see again we're going to have the same result right here. And this syntax is not going to change if we change the order of these ones. For example, let's say we use lname right here and fname right here. If we run again, you can see again we got this Tim and this Smith right here. Because in this syntax, when we use this lname right here, for example, it's going to look at our person objects right here and going to grab this lname right here as our variable name and this one as its value. So we can have multiple items with any order that we want. And pay attention that here we're not going to do anything with our person. So after these one, again, we're going to have our person object right here fully as it was before. So here, if we have this person and run our code, you can see that we have these items, but again, we're going to see our objects right here as our person object. And the structuring is not going to change anything to our first object. But in some cases that we want to have another option right here. For example, let's say we want to have another age right here. Now here, if we just print this age from here and run our code, you can see that we got this undefined right here because there is no age right here. But if we have this age, let's say it's 26, and run our code, we're going to see that. But another thing that we can have, we can set some default values to these one, which if there is no age, make age number 18. And now if we run, you can see that we got this value. But here, if we have age item right here, and it's some different number, and run our code, you can see that we got this. So here it's going to see if there is age in our person object or not. Then if it's here, it's going to grab this value. But if there is not age right here, it's going to set that into this default 18 value. Another thing that we can have is that we can change the name of these variables right here. So let's say here we want to display this f name as this kind of first name right here and L name as last name right here. So if we run like this, you can see that we got this error of we don't have this first name, and then we got the error of we don't have the last name. But the thing that we can do is that we can put these double columns right here and then write the name that we want our variable to have. So here, let's say we want to have this last name right here. So we put this right here. And here we want to have first name right here. And now if we run, you can see that again, we got this Tim and this Smith with 18.8 right here. And in this type and syntax, it's going to look at L name in our person and it finds this, then creates variable with the name of last name right here and make the value of this variable as same as what we have inside of this item. So this is our variable name in this syntax, and this is our variable's value. And actually, just like this, we can have the same destructuring syntax and statement for other type of variables too. So let's say here we have our simple a variable right here, which contains this word right here. If we use this syntax of destructuring, we can do something with that too. So here we use our variable creation statements right here, then we use these brackets right here, and then select our variable's name. And here we can put anything that we want. For example, I want to make this char1 right here, then I want to console log my char1 right here. And now if we run, you can see that we got this W character right here. And that is because it's going to select the first character of our string. And of course, we can have multiple of this of char2, char3, and char4 right here. And if we want to print all of them into our console, just like this, and run, you can see that here we got this word destructured into its characters, which here is going to select the first character of our a variable and string and make a variable with the name of char1 and put this character inside of our char1. It's going to do the same thing with our char2, 3, and 4. And basically, destructuring can be used with any iterables that we have. So let's now talk about another iterable that we have, which is our arrays. So here let's say we have array of our cars right here, which this say brands of cars, let's say BMW, Volvo, and Ford right here. We can use again the same syntax right here because here we start with these brackets. Again, here we're going to use these brackets too. But here, let's say we want to have our car1 right here, and this is cars and not a. So we put this name right here. And now let's print our car1 into our console. Now, if we run, you can see that we got this one right here, and we created car1 variable. And if you say that we want to change this to car name right here, because we want this variable name to have BMW, for example, you don't need this one in arrays. Because in arrays, we don't want to find car1 item inside of cars. So we put basically only the variable name right here. So we're going to have our car2 right here and car3 right here. And again, if we want to print all of them into our console right here and run our code, you can see that we got all of them in different variables. But let's say we want to skip this car2 variable right here. So we want to grab only our BMW and our Ford right here. What we can do is that we're going to make this an empty space here in our second item. So now if we run, you can see that we got the error of car2 is not defined because we don't have that right here. And if we delete that one too and run, you can see that we got our BMW and our Ford. So this one is going to come and create variable of car1, and what value it's going to have is it's going to come to cars array right here and select the first value that we have. Then in the second one, it's going to see there is nothing as variable name right here. So it's going to skip this one. And then it's going to do the same thing that it did with car1, with car3, and this Ford. And of course, let's say here we have another car of Nissan. And here, if we have another car4 right here, and let's make this car4 to be print in our console and run actually like this and not like that. Okay, you can see that we got this Nissan right here. But if we want to skip this Ford too, we just need to basically delete this car3. So it's going to grab our first value to set in our car1 variable. Then it's going to skip the second one, the third one right here too, and it's going to make car4 variable with the value of Nissan. But let's say here we want to grab only our fourth car right here. So we don't want this one, so we delete these one right here. And if we run, you can see that we got only this value right here. But another thing that we can have right here is that we're going to select item in our cars array. So here we use the index of 3, which is going to be this Nissan right here. Then we use these double columns right here. And then we specify the variable name that we want. For example, here we want to have car4 right here. So by doing this, we're going to grab the index 3 of this cars and make that into our variable. And as same as that, we can have, for example, our first item to be car1, and it's going on. But pay attention, if we want to use this syntax, we need to look at our array as objects. So here we need to use curly braces instead of our brackets. And by using this, we're going to have two variables of car1 and car4 right here. Because if we want to use this type right here, it's going to see cars as our objects right here, which is going to have its index 0 to be this BMW. Then it's going to have its index 1 to be Volvo. And just like this, it's going on. So if you want to use this type of destructuring, you need to use these curly braces. Another thing that we can have in our arrays is that, let's say here, we're going to select our C1 as our first variable, then C2 for our second, and going on. The thing that we can do right here, instead of using this C3 and C4, is that we can use this 3 dots right here and then rest. And by doing this, if we console log our C1 as same as our C2, you can see that we got the items which is in the index of 0 and 1. But if we use print this rest that we created right here and run, you can see that we got copy of our array's item after these indexes. So this is going to grab these two items and copy them into our rest variable that we created right here, which is array itself. So this is the name of the array that it created to save other items inside of it. And if we use test right here instead of our rest and run our code, you can see again we're going to have this one too. So you can use any name for your array right here. Now let's say here we want to have our simple map right here, which is again cars, and here we use this map right here, and inside of this we're going to have array of our items right here. Let's say we want to have 3 items right here, and each one is going to have the brand name first right here, and then let's say model name. As you see, we got this thing right here. Now, if we want to destructure this map, if we use the same syntax that we learned in the previous parts, which is use this let right here, then because maps are object, we use this type. We use the name of car, for example, right here, and here we use our cars right here. And here, if we console log our car into our console, you can see that we got this undefined value. And that is because the structuring is a little bit different in maps. For using this, first we need to use our for loop right here, which here we're going to say select car name right here, and then car model after it of our map with the name of car. And after this, we're going to say, for example, console log our car name right here. Now, if we run, you can see that we have grabbed this BMW, Ford, and Dodge right here. So this is going to create car name variable, which is our first items inside of this array. And as same as this, it's going to grab second ones and third ones. And just as same as name, we can have our model here too. And now if we run, you can see that only we got the models right here. And another thing that we can use with this destructuring thing that we learned here is swapping items value with each other. So let's say here we have our A variable, which holds number 1, and then have our this B variable, which holds number 5. And here we console log 2 things, which A is, then we concat that with our A's value, and we use the same thing with our B variable right here too. And now if we run, of course, we can see, actually we need to make this B2. And now if we run, you can see that A is 1 and B is 5, as you see right here. But let's change these values together. So we want A to have value of 5 and B to have value of 1. To do that, we use these brackets right here, and we equal that with another brackets right here. In the first one, we use our variables in our favorite order, but in the second one, we need to use the opposite order of this. So we need to use B in the first, and then this A. And for using this type of destructuring and changing items value with together, you need to use these semicolons in your variables too. And now if we run, you can see that this time A has the value of 5 right here, and B has the value of 1 right here. So it swapped these together. Please give a like and subscribe to catch next videos.